All right, this is Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. Boom, let's do this. This is at Notre Dame University, and this is William Barr course on religious liberty. Very interesting. Let's hear what he has to say.
In this area, the Solicitor General's office, the Civil Division, the Office of Legal Counsel, and other offices are all represented. And we have regular meetings, and we keep an eye out for cases or events around the country where states are misapplying the Establishment Clause in a way that discriminates against people of faith, or cases where states adopt laws that impinge upon the free exercise of religion.
Did you just hear what he said? They're looking where states are impinging or misusing the law to infringe upon religious rights. Very interesting.
From the founding era onward, there was strong consensus about the centrality of religious liberty in the United States. The imperative of protecting religious freedom was not just a nod in the direction of piety. It reflects the framers' belief that religion was indispensable to sustaining our free system of government. In his renowned 1785 pamphlet, Memorial and Remonstrance Against Religious Assessments, James Madison described religious liberty as a right towards men, but a duty towards the Creator, and a duty precedent, both in order of time and degree of obligation, to the claims of civil society. It has been over 230 years since that small group of colonial lawyers led a revolution and launched what they viewed as a great experiment, establishing a society fundamentally different than anything that had come before. They crafted a magnificent charter of freedom, the United States Constitution, which provides for limited government while leaving the people broadly at liberty to pursue their lives both as individuals and through their free associations.
It's interesting, limited use of government, and yet the responsibility of citizens to not meet and combine their associations. But I wonder if he'll talk about the responsibility of citizenship to really encourage government to be limited. Probably not.
This quantum leap in liberty has been the mainspring of unprecedented human progress, not only for Americans, but for people around the world. In the 20th century, our form of free society faced a severe test. There's always been the question whether a democracy so solicitous of individual freedom could stand up against the regimented totalitarian state. That question was answered with a resounding yes, as the United States stood up against and defeated first fascism and then communism. But in the 21st century, we face an entirely different kind of challenge. The challenge we face is precisely what the founding fathers foresaw would be the supreme test of a free society. They never thought that the main danger to the Republic would come from external foes. The central question was whether, over the long haul, we the people could handle freedom. The question was whether the citizens in such a free society could maintain the moral discipline and virtue necessary for the survival of free institutions.
Now, that's a very powerful statement. Is a free society going to maintain the morality they need to maintain their freedom? And notice that this morality is fundamental for their freedom and the existence of that freedom in that statement. Powerful, powerful words.
By and large, the founding generation's view of human nature was drawn from the classical Christian tradition. These practical statesmen understood that individuals, while having the potential for great good, also had the capacity for great evil. Men are subject to powerful passions and appetites, and if unrestrained, are capable of ruthlessly riding roughshod over their neighbors and the community at large. No society can exist without some means of restraining individual rapacity. But if you rely on the coercive power of the government to impose those restraints, the framers believed, this would inevitably lead to a government that is too controlling, and you would end up with no liberty, just tyranny.
Again, a very powerful statement by Barr. If you leave the power to control the individuals that are roughshod over the communities or areas, and you put all that power in the government's hand, they're going to be tyranny in what they legislate. But what about the morality to do it from the citizenry upward? Again, very key question. And this is why morality is so essential to freedom.
On the other hand, unless you had some effective restraint, you end up with something equally dangerous: licentiousness, the unbridled pursuit of personal appetites at the expense of the common good. This is just another form of tyranny, where the individual is enslaved by his appetites and the possibility of any healthy community life crumbles. Edmund Burke summed up this point in his typically colorful language. Men are qualified for civil liberty in exact proportion to their disposition to put chains upon their own appetites. Society cannot exist unless a controlling power be placed somewhere, and the less of it there is within, the more of it there must be without. It is ordained in the eternal constitution of things that men of intemperate minds cannot be free. Their passions forge their fetters. So the founders decided to
Wow, what a statement. What a statement. Listen to that statement again.
take a gamble, and they called it a great experiment. They would leave the people broad liberty, they would limit the coercive power of the government, and they would place their trust in the self-discipline and virtue of the American people. In the words of Madison, we have staked our future on the ability of each of us to govern ourselves. And this is really what they meant by self-government. It did not mean primarily.
So he states again, this is what they meant. Self-government means the individual for themselves to govern themselves, not be governed by someone else. They have primary responsibility to choose that and do that themselves. They are fully responsible for that primary responsibility. No one else is.
The mechanics by which we select a representative legislature. It referred to the capacity of each individual to restrain and govern themselves. But what was the source of this internal controlling power? In a free republic, those restraints could not be handed down from above by philosopher kings. Instead, social order must flow up from the people themselves, freely obeying the dictates of inwardly possessed and commonly shared moral values. And to control willful human beings with an infinite capacity to rationalize, those moral values must rest on authority independent of men's wills. They must flow from the transcendent supreme being. In short, in the framers' view, free government was only suitable and sustainable for a religious people, a people who recognized that there was a transcendent moral order antecedent to both the state and to man-made laws, and had the discipline to control themselves according to those enduring principles.
I'm going to leave it there. Very powerful words. This is 45 minutes long. I don't know how far the introduction was into this. Because I passed that introduction and just went to Barr's presentation. Very powerful, very interesting presentation to say the least. This is Roger Martin for Buildings Upon Time. I will give you the reference to this video. I recommend you listen to all that Barr has said at this university, Notre Dame, and we'll go from there. Good day.